Hey, this is RePenWolf-Gaming, and welcome back to Roadwarden. A living human is made of a shell, pneuma, and soul. The undead are shells moved by wild pneuma with no soul to tame it. So yeah, we left off getting the lay of the land. We finally found that inn that those soldiers told us about. And we found some more people who seem like they got their heads on their, they know what's up. They've been here a while, 10 years. But they seem pretty protective of who they are, and they want to give up any information. Now we've been to the inn, we've approached the guards, played some axes with them, and we lost. We lost our one dragon bone in a friendly match, even though we're pretty good at it. But they've been out here longer than us, and it seems they're even better. We got an armorer here, and we go to the well, but let's go outside and get those berries. We can get a quick meal. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They're round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. Plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. I gather the berries and go back to the inn. You return to the courtyard. Two of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. The wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. These guys are having a good time, man. It's pretty cool. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. The innkeeper is mixing something in a pot at the stove. So you again, need anything? Let's see. We got his fruits. Yeah. So we got a +2 to food, I think, actually. Great. He peeks inside the bucket. I got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks chucked for you. I'd start even to merchants if there were any around. Meal is warm and filling, is well seasoned and not overcooked. Like I said, I really have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. He said he was going to give us slop made for pigs, but he gave us actually a decent meal. The guy is testing us, right? But we'll thank him for the meal. And how did that old hook of mine work for you? I see you still have your hands. I give him the hook. I'd like to buy it from you, and I've lost it. Uh-oh. So we can choose to steal it, but he says he doesn't like thieves, and we want, friends in this area. So let's give it back. He takes the tools from you and nods. Need anything else? We already asked for leftovers for today, and we got our meal, right? And we're not gonna go to bed hungry. I wonder how we get more vitality back. Maybe that's the vitality that we used on the griffins way back when, in episode 1. Or is that episode 2? It might have been episode 2. The one previously, this one. Let's go back outside. This one looks pretty interesting. The armor, right? Walk past the well and find a small open shed. Not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are two people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe an inch-long hair, cleanly shaven face, a thin, long, and yellow tunic, and bare legs and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. We can say something, or we can wait for him to notice. So I know sewing can be kind of like a precision thing, you know. When I had a coat, like a nice overcoat that had a hole in it, and when you want an alteration done on your clothing, they kind of tell you to go away because we can't just sit there waiting for the thing to be finished. I don't know. It's like they don't want to stab themselves in the thumb, right? Let's wait for him to notice me. After a few minutes, the man finishes his task and raises his head. He puts away the piece of garment on a table, stands up, bows to you, and shrugs, waiting for you to speak. Maybe not right now, but I may be in need of your services. He nods, points at the laces in the front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them, as if he's taken off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. Pulls out one dragon bone, shrugs, and then another one, waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what sounds like "I don't know." I consider his offer. So, let's see. He says one dragon bone, and then another one, and waves them both. So 2 dragon bones to fix our stuff, maybe. Your jacket is as good as this armor can make it. Gambeson repairs. So it doesn't seem like we can go any better. I'm not sure how we can make it better. So I guess it's just a 3. I feel like this gambeson can use adjustments. He nods enthusiastically, but then apologetically points behind him. A small box filled with basic tools. He ain't that experienced, says his assistant. We do this and that, but only simple, so they can't get us up to 4. Can you patch my clothes if they were torn? He shakes his head and points at the uneven seams on his own tunic, and grabs a crude bone needle and shows you its broken head. He wouldn't even if he had the tools, says the boy, but you can try in Howler's Dell or Gale Rocks. I look at the youngster learning the trade, I see. Kind of like an apprentice. Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said safe. Let's meet in the middle of boring, but safe. Every kid wants adventure, right? Their own dreams. Okay, let's leave the shed. And the last place to go is the well. We got 11 hours and 45 minutes before dusk. And we're on day 1. Maybe we shouldn't stay here forever, huh? But we got our food and we got our soap. The recently renovated wood covers of the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket. It tells you to only use as much water as necessary. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. I guess I wash my shell. So they say that the body is the shell, and then what is it? The pneuma is what makes us tick. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. And won't get any cleaner here. So we went from 1 up to 2 where we were before. And we won't stand out in a crowd. That's good to know that we can go here for this. Let's travel. We got a little bit of time, right? Yeah. Let's see what's up the road. The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention, not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight rocky passages, excuse me. Can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. Keep an eye out for any sign of life. Yeah. Oh, we got another palisade gate. Though I can't see a door. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. We can approach the building near the field. You can take a closer look at the gate, or we can move forward. I think it's worth checking out. We don't want any dangers behind us, you know what I mean? The palisade is in good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of force used must have been huge, but you'd expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. My best guess is there was a siege, and a bunch of bandits probably hooked up some, some grappling hooks of some sort, and just with their horses drew the gate away. But I don't know. Where's all the people? I think they said there were slavers. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. Alright. Where do you want to go? Let's explore southwest of the village, Now we're inside. Now, these buildings looked like they were destroyed by something. They said a fire. So, did a dragon swoop overhead and, set this place ablaze? The buildings, some of which, or did a bunch of bandits come and, raze the whole town? Or this little settlement? The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls. Well, that kind of answers our question. Especially close to the doors and wooden and window frames. They could belong to a dragling or a large wolf, larger than gray ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use. A basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. But a large fish swims into it and won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it on my saddle. See? Can't hurt to pick through the refuse, right? That's our dinner right there. You feel a slight ache in your stomach. Where do you want to go? Let's see. The palisade to the west would be this way, right? That's west. We explore the northwest portion of the village. We can go to the main square. Explore the southeast part of the village, inspect the fields, back to the south. Let's explore the southeast part of the village. It's to our right? You find a small backyard. Oh wait, does this whole village open up to us as we explore it? That's so fucking cool. Man, this game is so... Oh man. It's more than a text-based adventure at this point. You find a small backyard. The ground is beaten. The grass grows only right next to the buildings. Would have been a fair spot for trading dancers and fighters. The stakes of the palisade are covered with playful carvings left by children who are portraying monsters, weapons, and humans. The rubble had been pushed into the corners of the houses. The furniture is broken, but you find something of use in one of those piles. A slightly rusted piece of steel. Once you pull it out, you realize it's a quarrel for a crossbow. Still usable. 8 before, and now we're up to 9. Alright. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. Did we get poisoned or something? I hope not. Maybe it's just like saying we're hungry. Palisade to the west. Okay. Tracks of human footwear and many many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you could tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. Wooden stakes spread on the ground and are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree swamps, already covered with moss and fungi. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. Okay. Northwest would be this way, right? Or the northeast part of the village. Let's open up that side. The debris was partially moved outside of the destroyed houses, but you find nothing of value. The table, cupboard, shelves, and bits and pieces were carefully ransacked. The wildly growing vegetables and herbs are the only remnants of the abandoned gardens. You spot fresh human footprints at the entrance to the latrine, most of which lead to and from the center of the village. You notice a set of simple tools leaned against a pile of rubble. A wooden spade and a shovel, a pointed stick, a hoe with a bone head, a stone axe. All of them are too old and too awkward to bother with transporting them around. But you never know where to find them if you need them in the future. Okay, so we can come back to the, what was it? The northeast of this part of the village, okay? The closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Lamb, worried by the sight, pokes her head with its nose. I walk far away from the walls. I have to remain strong. I push through the illness. Did these people, like, get diseased or something? I mean, I lean on your mouth to go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Maybe better to leave, or at least stay away from the village for the rest of the day. Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of disease here. What's going on? I was worried we might die if we stay there, so... we can't get too greedy and we have to come back and inspect this place. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? The clearing to the west, I guess. The meadow is lush and colorful and so dense it's unsafe for a rider for a couple of minutes. You lead Lamb with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of hoof falling into the animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals. Though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of their herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. Let's leave the clearing. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where did you want to go? Go to the road leading north from the village, inspect the fields in the southwest. So we can continue searching this place, but we may come back here in the future anyway. So let's leave it be as a mystery until we come back. Let's go north. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by a lush meadow, filled with crickets and rodents. Let's take a closer look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. I feel like every step into the village weakens me more. I should return another day. Let's go somewhere else. I wanted to check out that river. We got that fish trap, right? You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some of them black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and yet clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You'd rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds of small fish are looking for tasty leaves. Also try to avoid their predators and dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking on the ground. A couple of stone axes and hoes, the wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss. But you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Turn back. I consider washing myself in the river. Spend some time setting up a fish trap at the bank. Yeah, that's what we wanted to do, right? Place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait the stick and push it inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with the lid. Tying it together takes you a few good moments, but will be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and push it into the stream, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it would be better not to wait for too long, otherwise the prey might die of hunger. Step away. Maybe we should have did that first, huh? While we're exploring the town. I consider washing myself in the river. And just like before when we were at the inn and at the well, we still need 3 bathing equipment. So we can't do that. I guess we'll go inspect the fields. The southwest. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lay. A barren field, maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout a curse. I mean, it could be. This town is making us sick, so I imagine it could be. I don't have a way to investigate it, so maybe the alchemist here wouldn't understand what's going on. Let's inspect the. We can inspect the fish trap tomorrow or later. Let's inspect the southeast. You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river, or on the opposite bank. The meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks you could follow. Let's return to the main road. And let's get out of here. We have 9 hours before dusk. Let's do some more traveling. How far do you think we can get before we get a little lost? You enter the wetlands and there are many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly the gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. A danger with teeth and claws is hidden below the water's surface. Alright. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands, it's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time, centuries ago, when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Maybe if we're a mage or, again, an alchemist. The scholar, I mean, like the class, right? There's no way to tell. Lamb is peacefully observing the dark grasses and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. I encourage it to graze while I look around. It seems pretty peaceful to me. This tree seems to be like in a lake of some sort. It's a little weird. It's you can see it's what's it called? It's roots coming in and out of the water. The only time I've ever seen something like this is maybe like um in the Everglades of like Florida, you know, some swampy areas where the whole tree or something like that is underwater, or at least the base of its trunk is. You don't see any creatures nor humans. Let's look at the altar, I guess. We got a swamp altar. There's clumped dirt in the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to their altar in many spots. They're firmly attached, and you would struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. We can make an offering, apparently. What is your sacrifice? Example, food. What do we got? We could make a sacrifice of, that's the only thing we have, right? Bit of a ritual here. I mean, the example we're given is food. You place any type of food you can find in your sack or on the nearby plants, but none of them seem to make any difference. So let's look at our inventory again. Let's walk away. Look at the water. Maybe we give them a dragon bone coin or something. Or an apple. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spider web covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that could catch your attention. What about the roots? You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you expect. I do something with it. What do you try? To example, kick? I mean, how about, kick. Let's see if it's alive. The root is flexible and stretchy. Your blunt hit sinks into it like it's a pillow. Whenever you lean away, it returns to its original shape. Okay, what about a chop? Pull out your axe and then stop in place. You can't tell what the results of wounding the tree would be. Let's make the cut. You stand above the root like you're about to split firewood. The swing is accurate, but the nimble root backs down into the water, pulled by the rest of the creature, leaving a trail of red bubbles and mud. A chunk of the root is still in your fingers, so you move it into a jar from your bundles. The axe is now covered with a red sticky goo, smelling like rusted nails and fruit mixed with beer. Reach for a water skin and wash the blade from the plant's juices. Now walk away. You don't see any creatures nor humans. So, this is our miscellaneous item. A weird root cut away from the tree growing at the altar. Maybe if we were the scholar once more, we would know what this does. But I have no idea. Now we just have a root in the thing. Maybe that old crazy hermit would know what to do with us. Let's get out of here. We can go up or we're going down. If we want to get that 2 coins from the Pelt of the North, right? We're going to want to get the word up to the next town. You slow down among the shrubs. A small pack of draglings is feasting on the carcass of a grey auroch. One of them, with red feathers on the arms, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right toward left, right, forward, and back. It screeches at you, but doesn't move forward and returns to its meal. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be satisfied with their prey? Or would they run after you? But if so, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward, yet stay safe. So these dragonlings kind of remind me of like dinosaurs, right? They're like raptors, like the real raptors that you'd find that have feathers, right? I think they're from like North America, right? The powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. I ride forward, but I keep my distance and look over my shoulder. Alright. The beaten road serves your palfrey well. The forest to your left becomes sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of human-made paths along the fruit-bearing trees. On your right, there's a large pasture with at least a dozen massive mouflons. I'm guessing those mouflons are possibly sheep, but I gotta look it up what a mouflon is. We keep seeing the word mouflon. Yeah, it's mouflon sheep. That's the first thing that pops up, right? Oh, weird. These things do not look like sheep at all. Like, they still look like kind of goats. They're like the, that's cool. They're just sheep with like these long, like curved horns. Interesting. Alright. Two of them already sheared, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast, flourishing fields filled with rye. Still green, preparing itself plenty for the second harvest. Hey, you think they know about rye chips? I talked about it in my, what's it called? Cult of the Lamb videos, but that video is like buried into like the, I don't know, the 18th or even the 17th video, maybe, I want to say. Or it could be one of my witness videos for, you know, finishing the game. But, rye chips. The only thing I'll eat in the Ch.3 mix. The path ends with a massive wooden gate, and the stone wall separating you with the glow of lights behind it. It isn't as tall as the roofs, but you can't imagine climbing to its top. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, a sign of many hours of labor, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as a city district. The birds and the monkeys are now just a distant echo, blessed with the sounds of carts, running, hammers, saws, laughter, and shouts. So a place in the middle, like an oasis in the middle of a desert. We can call it, you know, a desert full of horror and mystery. Finally, maybe we can get rest here. Sigh, I don't feel comfortable in large settlements. Let's get this over with. We don't have any money either. The young man is leaning against the closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. Beneath the green gambeson, he wears an expensive tunic, decorated with colorful trim. From his arm hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin that it's mostly made of wool and leather. Moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. He's standing upright with his chin up. There are two weapons on the ground, leaning on the wooden beams of the gate. An axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach with either. He dismounts smoothly, still having some vigor left. Lamb holds its tail high. A narrow path leads north, toward two field workers, one with a hoe and one with a pitchfork. They wave to you. You can't see their faces, but their clothes are simple. Gray pants and vests made from hemp and wool. I wave back, why not? Or, let's see, it's better to keep some distance. I just approach the guard. Nah. Everybody's gonna know who we are, right? So why not? They talk for a bit, looking toward you and pointing at your mount, then walk away, disappearing behind the wall's corner. Yeah, these horses are rare in these parts, right? A domesticated animal is not common, I guess. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes. It has to clear his throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveler. If you're near here to make trouble, Haller's Dell welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is. When he bows, you realize it's a well-practiced performance. If it's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything you need right here, in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, robes. Or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you we have the fabric you're looking for. His act is over and he glances at your mountain in a moment of silence. His eyes get wider as he observes it with a childlike fascination. So we have two choices here. This is lamb and helps me patrol the roads. You can pet its side if you want, but no sudden movements. Or, I'm Mr. Wolf, your new Roadwarden. I want to see your mayor. So we can talk business for the second option, or we can be nice to the guard. Well, we're here to make friends, right? As many friends and comrades and points of contacts as possible. And they're the locals, right? Do what the Romans do. He follows your instructions, even though your palfrey pays no attention to the man's careful touch. The guard grins widely. And then we go to business after being friendly. I'm Mr. Wolf, your new road warden. I want to see your mayor. A city folk, The mayor's busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. Knocks at the gate, which is then pulled inwards by two other guards. A man and a woman, wearing their own gamisons, similarly green, but tailor-made to match their figures. Nearby buildings are simple houses made of wooden beams and covered with thatch, while the storehouse is even more modest, with a roof made of planks. The watchtower is a larder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment, and the guard strides away before he finishes the last word. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east to a hunting creek run through the center of the village. Oh, such a peaceful place. Alright, let's wait for the messenger. Calming sound, eh? That's Howler's Creek, the guard. Like most of the locals, is taller than you. Wide but shallow. There's nay been a flood in years. Pa told me there used to be nay bridges. Neighbors cross it with their boots in their hands, and 'tis clean like a raindrop. But there are nay many fishes. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She can nay come now. A friend of mine is in labor, aye? The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I was asked to show you the village. So people don't like having kids in times of strife. People don't feel safe having children in a place where the place isn't, safe. So, I don't know. People were talking about how this place is full of, danger, but for now it seems to lurk outside the walls. But I nod, it's fine. He approaches the watchtower. Tie your mount here, we'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbors are getting ready to celebrate. Once they're done, he grabs a rope ladder. The view from up there is gorgeous. You can climb up after him and nod and think of my knife. If it's a trap, I'll get him first. I don't think this is the bandit village. Right? Let's climb after him. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly. Like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile. Let's take a look around. Man, what are we so worried about? I mean, look at this place, right? The settlement is actually peaceful looking, right? Everything's well maintained. Doesn't seem like that other village we were just at a second ago. I wonder, the food The fields are fine. They're not like salted on the earth, right? There's no disease. There's even running water straight through. You get easy food and fish. I mean, I'd be worried if, you know, somebody poisoned the water upstream, but these guys seem fine. See? That's nay place like a Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks and the pastures and their shepherds, inspecting the fences. An ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself. Oh, excuse me. The sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you are to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool. And the beer, 'tis excellent. It sounds like a city merchant is trying to sell an old house. We have two options here. One annoying kid near H-Town, you could find 5 larger and richer settlements in less than 2 days. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't he be? They tamed this scrap of land and lived in comfort. I mean, why would we want to rain on his parade? That sounds awful, the first option. The second option sounds so much better. Right? The islet in the middle connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever open, as it leads nowhere now. Near the eastern gate, there's the Ape Ale Inn, where you can find a bed and victuals. A bed and victuals. In the stall where the Akakios rewards our work. Akakios rewards our work. Unless we annoy him with pointless talk. He lets out a chuckle. So... Okay. On the opposite side of the creek, there's another white house. It belongs to Bion, the best clothier in town, clothier in the north. Priests live in the southeast near the wall, but they do talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisher, the miller. The pie maker lives with his sister, the baker. Oh wow. They got a pie maker here. The smith and her husband, the carpenter, live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points at the islet again. There, see? The mayor's coming, the one wearing purple. You're free to join her, traveler. Alright. I nod and climb down. We started off over here, right? And we just climbed this tower, I want to say, to get a bird's eye view of this peaceful settlement. Yeah. Why would you want to leave? You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that it's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasturage, surrounded by a wooden fence, a few loose chickens, and the tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewash coating and surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon. But for a lamb, walking on wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall, painted with the shapes of colorful flowers. Let's walk over that second bridge, right? So, I guess we made it up here to the north. We walked to the right here and a little bit more here. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people observing you, smiling or casually greeting you as they are focused on their own tasks. Finally, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the center, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall, perfect for sitting. The smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south, next to the swamp altar. Huh. And we chopped a bit of its root over here. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. judging by the tables, stools, and benches outside of it. It's open for guests. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by herself, eating a pie, with a walking stick, leaning against the table. A young woman is cleaning the empty mugs in a creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. I need to spot a tether for lamb. Okay, yeah. There's a wide wooden roof next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and sacks. Move your mount next to a donkey, to a beam placed there for just this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Lamb starts to chew on the nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. I look for the mayor and approach her. She's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk. The added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mayor teeters. Dune gets distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoonfuls and you'll go help Papa in the kitchen, aye? She gives you a radiant, though apologetic smile, then turns her attention back to her companion. I observe her more closely. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in blue and once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which would draw looks even Haviland. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist has a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers, growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and rogue cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they're a bit closer to wine red. The thick gray strands in her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the color of her cape, even vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance, even though her posture is upright. Her legs confidently crossed, and her delicate voice assertive. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. The regal of a leader, right? I wait for as long as it takes. I need no invitations. I sit down on a bench. I mean, we got 40 days, but it's only the first day. Day 1, right? And, I don't know, this place makes you want to relax. Just wait and see. These people are living the slow life, so I'll let them enjoy their time. After a few more minutes, the boy lets out a gentle cough, and after a pat on the back, the mayor puts him on the ground. You did a great job, love, but now I need to speak with our guest, darling. She addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of a question or a suggestion. Yes, ma'am, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother. Neither of the kids resemble their mother. So we have a Roadwarden again. Please sit down. She vaguely shows you the palm of her open hand. Then you pick any place you want. Since I'm her guest, I sit on the bench next to her. Or I sit on the stool opposite her. I'm here as a trade partner. So we can try to be... That's a good question. How do we want to introduce ourselves to this mayor? We're definitely here on official business for sure. And do we want to keep it business as is, or do we want to become like one of the family of this town? Since I'm her guest, I sit on the bench next to her. Or I sit on the stool opposite her. I mean, for me, if I just met a person, I'd probably sit opposite them. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna go with my gut. You have a good look at the inn's front door, leading to a cellar like ground floor. It's dark with crates and barrels covered with fruits, nuts, and vegetables. The actual inn is upstairs, but the only people who go in or out are the workers, most of whom are teenagers. The mayor observes your outfit carefully, maintaining a polite though cool smile. Once your eyes meet, she hardly ever looks away. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. I appreciate it. No food is free. I'm not hungry, thanks. No food is free. Now, letting it get silly. She lowers her voice. Nothing is free, but every act of kindness is a trap. I'll fill your stomach now, and then we'll both fill our pouches later on. She's sweet talking us here, man. And she's like an old granny. Is like, nah. That's great. And of course, she brings back her smile. 'Tis a custom of ours to lend a hand to lost travelers. The forest is full of fruit, and the nay's reason for us to suffer from hunger. We can either accept or we can say, nah, I'm good. I mean, after offering it us like twice now, we can't say no. Alright, then I accept. Taz, a relief. You're saving me from one awkward dinner. She taps her chest. Excuse me. And looks at the flock of birds that fly above you loudly, heading south. As we're waiting, be so good as to help me understand something. Help me understand something. Ava, if you're but a mercenary, if you're but a mercenary, I can imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. And so long after Asterion's disappearance. 'Tis nae glory or treasures to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, and then clasp, leaving the forefingers pointing at you. You were sent here by merchants. They want the peninsula. Let's see what our options are. We got to choose our different attitudes here. Friendly, playful, distanced, intimidating, or vulnerable. Oh, excuse me. I don't feel like I would ever choose the vulnerable unless we're not a fighter, right? Maybe the mage or what's it called? The scholar, who's not a very good fighter, might say, "Hey, we're down on our luck." But we're talking business here, right? We're on business for these merchants. But we're also here to help the people as much as we can. Let's see. The friendly says, I present each town's interest as an opportunity. I portray the situation as lightly as I can. That doesn't seem right to me. I simply explain the situation. That's pretty, like, that's super business, right? Make it clear that collaborating with the city would help keep our people safe. That's oh man, that's even worse than being jeez. Well, she caught me. I don't hide the fact that the guild needs new opportunities. Oh man, I don't know. I think let's put it in a positive, optimistic look, right? I present each town's interest as an opportunity. You introduce yourself and touch on the more obvious sides of the potential deal with the guild and the city chief, the troops, their pay, and the patrols they would establish. The overview of taxes, trade routes would bring new life to this place. You try to sound warm. It's a win-win. Throughout your speech, the mayor observes you patiently, without interruptions. I see, she finally responds. As she observes your palfrey, she twists your deer buckle. She twists her deer buckle, left and right and left and right. If it was that simple, I'd be eager to applaud. But it never is that simple, is it? Her eyes fill up with melancholy, despite her smile. I appreciate that you're coming with a carrot, not a stick. When it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. She's a smart woman. Nothing's for free. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. Oh man. She's awesome. She's from the city, but she went native here, right? This is our home. Alright. What sort of catch? Well, maybe I phrased it poorly. She burst into a joyless laughter. Not a catch, but rather all sorts of traps and omissions. Like with that saying, give them a finger and they'll take a whole hand. Or give them an inch and they'll take a mile. Maybe there's other sayings that are similar to that. Here, listen to this trick I learned about my studies. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand and covering her mouth with another. Leans forward and rests on her elbows, allowing her hands to freely make gestures. They make a deal with a settlement, flour and wool in exchange for coin and tools. They send the first traders and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and the wool. We can nay butcher any more mouflons, locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn one of your fields into a pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts. She has no issue switching between accents. I encourage her with a kind smile. I mean, like, she can see into the future, right? This is why they made her into a mayor. Somebody with vision. But if you trade with another town, you have to change the way that you act, right? And the cool thing about the settlement is it's very independent, right? Instead of being part of a coalition or like because if you enter any relationship, it's a give and take. But let's see what else she got. See, she swings her hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds. And the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more highwaymen now. You want us to come again, you need more mouflons, and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? With a haunting laugh. She straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third her age. Turns out the village can't say no more. They lack the supplies, seeds, and lands, and they can't refuse. I nod, she's right. It's better not to say anything stupid. Don't you think the city would see value in keeping you strong? Fewer risks for them. I smile. I have no doubt that a smart leader like yourself is going to protect her people from these games. So we can either be, we can either keep our mouth shut, we can continue defending our patron, our employer, right? Or we can compliment her and confirm what she's thinking, right? She could be right, she could be wrong, I don't know. It's hard to say, like what I would say. Maybe nothing at all. So we'll pick the first option. The pause doesn't linger for long. I see we understand each other. Let me finish the introductions. I'm Thias, one of the keepers at the Apel Inn and the mayor of Howersdell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answers back to H-Town. She wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan after winter? It depends on what you can sell and what you want in return. She gave us food and our meter is full. It's really cool. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma of roasted mutton, covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey, tempts you to bite in right away. That sounds amazing. Look at it. Roasted mutton, covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey. That sounds... Oh, I gotta try making something like that. Let's see. But yeah. The juices are sinking into the round trencher, a plate made of simple brown bread. Wow. This is also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes, and a sliced boiled egg, and a mug filled with cold buttermilk. Interesting. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother, and in the end, the innkeeper himself shows up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Thias tears the meat into smaller pieces and eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Meanwhile, we get to the important stuff. Next time. It's been about an hour, and I've enjoyed the story so far, but it's time to close this book for today, and maybe you'll subscribe and come back for another page. So, I'll see you guys later in the next one. Bye.